So you guys being here, you guys are taking ownership of what's going to happen in the next 4 to 6 years, what's going to happen to you after high school. Now, part of what I want to do is, in elementary, we're always told, stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance, right? Elementary, junior high, high school. Well, in my resistance years as a little girl, I didn't feel comfortable doing that. I felt that I wasn't being welcomed to this country, so why should I put my right hand over my heart? So I decided, you know what, let me make a pledge that's going to represent who we are, that's going to make me feel good about who I am and what I do. So the first thing I want to do, and I want to invite all of you to join me in this poem. It's called The Pledge of Resistance. And for this poem, it requires that you take a stand. So that everyone could please stand up with me. And let's stretch, get ready for your day. And this Pledge of Resistance is basically about being a black and brown youth in the so-called United States. But more importantly, it's to state things about ourselves that we don't hear on TV, we don't hear this in the education system. So it's about us reclaiming who we are. It's about us loving who we are. It's about us loving who our parents are, where they're from, and where we're at. Because as most of you already know, this land was Mexico. But before it was called Mexico, it was part of our heritage and part of the land that we roamed from for thousands and thousands of years. And part of this pledge is to reclaim that connection to where we are standing at now, and to reclaim that heritage and that history that has been lacking from our history books for the last 500 years. So the way this is going to work, it's real short, so I'm going to have you standing firm. I'm going to say the first line, I'll point to you guys, and you guys repeat it. Now, don't be shy, be like, oh God, this person's going to hear me next, no, just let it out. Let it out. Be strong, be loud. This is a day for you. This is a day for you. Take out all your stress in this pledge, okay? So, it's called the Pledge of Resistance, and it goes like this. I am an original inhabitant of this land.
I am an original inhabitant of this land.
I am not an illegal alien.
I am not an illegal alien.
I am not a foreigner on this land.
I am not a foreigner on this land.
I am indigenous.
I am indigenous.
I have the right to be me.
I have the right to be me.
I have the right to be free.
I have the right to be free.
I am beautiful.
I am beautiful.
I am brown.
I am brown.
I am light brown.
I am light brown.
I am dark brown.
I am dark brown.
I am beautiful.
I am beautiful.
I belong here.
I belong here.
I love my people.
I love my people.
I love myself.
I love myself.
I love my future.
I love my future.
I love my people.
I love my people.
I love myself.
I love myself.
I love my future.
I love my future.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That sounded beautiful, you guys. That's the introduction. How did you guys feel saying that? Everybody feel good?
Yeah.
Say that every morning. Try to memorize it. Say that every morning to yourself, and trust me, it's going to make a difference. Yes, for sure. I try to make it short. Alright, so that's the introduction. That's a way for us to start making a stand. And now it's a stand here at UCR, but this stand, you guys are going to make it for the rest of your life, okay? That's a stand that you're going to take because the struggle that we're in, and just like the program says, we come from a history of struggle. Unfortunately, we shouldn't be struggling, but because of the things that have happened in our past, we are forced to take on this struggle, okay? So if you're going to stand by your people, if you're going to stand by justice, if you're going to stand by making changes in history, these are the type of things that we have to do. It may not always be the coolest thing. It may not always be what's in the trend and what YM is talking about and Cristina and all that. But this is the right thing. This is the right path. And all of you guys, I congratulate you again for being here. Like I said, I want to share with you some of the helped me be here, to be strong, to be proud of who I am, and not get caught up on the negative environment, not get caught up in the material gains, but to really try to do something worthwhile for our people, for ourselves. And first of all, let me just tell you that we are here today as a people who 500 years ago, we were the most educated people in the world. We had mandatory education for males and females. How many of us knew that? 2, 3 people, right? We were the people who invented the concept of 0 and decimal point. How many of us knew that? All right. We were the people who invented greatness in sciences, mathematics, and just like, you know, we brought books with us in case you're like, where'd you get that from? We brought books, you guys can stop by and check it out. So our history as a people, 500 years ago, we had developed an original civilization. We had developed a culture that far surpassed many cultures of the world, and that's not to say that we were better than anyone, but that we had a rightful ownership and that we had a rightful calling in our history. Now, because of what happened in 1492, and how many of you, I'm sure you know the truth of Christopher Columbus, right? Right? Did he discover us? Yeah. That's what they want us to do, right? So, what happened is, there's a very painful experience that we've been through as a people. There is the fact in our history that we're not taught this in history. Like I said, we're not taught this in elementary school, we're not taught this in high school. There are those teachers that go out of their way, but they're always in fear that the other teachers are going to catch on and start complaining about them. So this history that we're talking about is not easily made accessible to us. So those of us that are learning our history, we have to take on education in a very different way. We're not just, okay, let me get my PhD and get my master's and I'm going to be happy ever after. There's something more to that. So let me get back to the point of the genocide. How many of us know about the Jewish Holocaust? Raise your hand. How many of you have been to the Museum of Tolerance? Raise your hand. Okay. I did too. When I was in high school, I was 15 years old. I was a punk rocker, and I love poetry. Poetry has been my thing. And we had an actual survivor of the Jewish Holocaust who spoke to us. And he was a little tiny kid when that happened. And he spoke to my history class, and he actually had the tattoo, because that was part of the genocide, the Holocaust that they went through. And he was speaking, and he was talking about how can somebody try to erase your people from the face of the planet? How do you explain that? How do you experience that? What do you get from that? And I was sitting there, and I was crying, and I see my classmates, and they're crying, and we're sobbing, and we're like, man, that's messed up. How can they do this to Jewish people? And then we went to the Museum of Tolerance, and then you walk in, and you experience that, you live that, right? And you're over here thinking, wow, wow, they went through that, and here they are, being proud of being Jewish, and they have 33 major cultural centers in Los Angeles alone, and you're looking at that, and you're like, wow, that's, how can they go through that? It's sad. How can people do that? And then, not even a year later, I was given a flyer that talked about my history. I didn't know who I was. I was punk rocker, 15 years old. I was, F sexism and F racism, and because you know that there's something wrong, right? So when I started learning about my history, I started reading books that reflected my heritage, and I made a connection with what I was studying. I wasn't saying, oh, I'm studying about the Indians, oh, poor Indians, Yep, the white man did them dirty, No. I started learning history with, I descend from that heritage. I am that Native American they're talking about. I am that Mexican that they're talking about. I am that Central American that they're talking about. And I started learning about the atrocities in Africa, the atrocities in the so-called Americas, in Asia, and I started learning my history as a descendant of what I was reading. Because we're so taught to learning history as, learn these dates and the Indians here, and they didn't have anything, just teepees and stuff. And then the Europeans came and they brought civilization and they brought culture, and then the list stops. Because they're So when I'm learning my history and I'm making that connection, I said, wait a second, this is who I am right here. When they're talking about the genocide, when they're talking about this history, you mean that I went through something that the Jewish people went through 500 years ago? You mean to tell me that 23 million of my people were killed and I know nothing about it? And the whole Western Hemisphere, they estimate 70 to 100 million of our people. And I look at my history book and I was like, nah, it has to be here. That can't be true. Let me get another history book. Let me get another history book. Let me get another history book. And time after time, it was a conquest, Indian battles, it was a conquest. And I'm like, wait a second, if something this drastic happened, why are we taught this? If something so horrendous happened, why isn't this being put in our history books? So then you start learning that there were actual laws to keep us from learning who we were. To keep us from learning who we were as a people, but not only what we did as a people, who we were as a people, but what happened to us as a people. There was a law in 1577 by the King of Spain that it made it a crime, it made it illegal to learn indigenous customs, indigenous history. Because what do you think they were fearing? If these people, once we killed them and we took away their land, if they start learning their history, that's dangerous. They're going to want that back. They're going to want to be proud again. They're not going to let us treat them like crap again. So then you look at Arizona today. I'm talking about 2010. They passed a law in Arizona that forbids teachers to teach Chicano studies, African American studies, Asian studies. So do you see a connection between what happened in 1577 and what's going on in 2010?